Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris. The inconvenient youth is at it again. Julius Malema once again making threats against minorities in South Africa. The latest one in which he calls white people thieves. And he's finally caught on to the point that most white people were born after 1994, and so they bear no responsibility whatsoever for the actions of their ancestors. But he says they do. If you own land, you're guilty of owning land, and you're a thief because the land was stolen. Of course, that historical narrative is nothing but poppycock, balderdash, and just BS. But that's another conversation. The point of this conversation is this man can continue to threaten the lives of citizens in South Africa with no consequences whatsoever. It's shocking to say the very least. When South Africans who are ethnic minorities claim that their lives are in jeopardy, that it's dangerous for them, that they're targeted because of their ethnicity, well, the proof in the pudding, you don't have to go any further than Julius Malema and his actions. His latest is calling all white people thieves. Really? How are they thieves? Where is your property title for the land you're claiming is stolen? And what land did you own, Julius, when you were 10 years old and apartheid ended? Please share that with us. But that's not the real concern here, folks. The real concern in this whole conversation is the threat that he's made. Julius Malema has made a threat. He said there'll be no peace until the minorities have no land, essentially. So Julius Malema doesn't care about reconciliation. He doesn't care about truth. He doesn't care about prosperity. What Julius Malema cares about is hateful, spiteful revenge, which is odd given that he's not a child of apartheid. Pretty much grew up after apartheid for the most part. So why is he targeting minorities? Well, because he's a populist. A lot of people think he's a racist. I don't buy that for a second. I don't really think Julius Malema believes anything he says. It's all for his Breitling watches, his Land Cruisers, his Gucci lifestyle that seems to have occurred without any lifestyle audit ever having been done on the man. Why not? He's a member of Parliament. He sits on the Judicial Services Commission. Does he go through lifestyle audits? Does he have undue affluence? It sure seems that way, based on what the salary is, a couple million a year for a member of Parliament. Not even that much. Yet he seems to have plenty of money. Where's that money coming from? And why aren't authorities ever looking into that? How can he get away with threatening people? You know, when Senecal happened in 2020 and a bucky was overturned, the person accused of it, because it was white and Afrikaans, was immediately charged with terrorism. Of course, it was a ludicrous charge. It was dismissed. But he was charged and put in prison with an outrageously high bail. While the people accused of actually murdering Brendan Horner had a bail ridiculously low. One of them denied bail, the other given bail. Malema went there like a buffoon with police escorts. He's just a member of Parliament, not even in the police portfolio, and attended the case. On what basis? He's not from the Free State. What interest did he have in the courtroom? And why wasn't he charged with terrorism charges when he exhorted his followers to attack clicks locations after the Tresemme ad? You have to ask yourself that question. What is Julius Malema's endgame here? Well, the endgame here is Julius in power. It's about self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment, and craving political power. What many political leaders the world over are looking for. That's the satisfaction he wants. Whether it comes at the hands of those suffering because of their skin color, which is sadly reminiscent of what happened under apartheid, or it comes another way. Julius wants to be in charge, which will never happen in South Africa. It will never happen. And so he's angry. So he's lashing out and blaming people who are the very people who made his life so comfortable and luxurious. White people. The world sits by and watches, and they claim, the ANC, that Donald Trump doesn't get it, that Trump is wrong, that Trump doesn't understand, that Trump is misinformed. Well, I suggest he's not misinformed. When politicians who sit in Parliament can call for bloodshed, can sing songs about murdering people based on their ethnicity, and there's no repercussions, inciting violence, can cite their followers to attack commercial locations for a black-owned business with no repercussions, and the list goes on and on. I submit to you that maybe Donald Trump hasn't gotten it wrong. Maybe people are just trying to gaslight you. What say you, South Africa? Will Malema try to lead some sort of bloodshed? I seriously doubt it. He's not a very courageous man, to say the least. But his rhetoric definitely stirs up racial animosity, racial hatred, and chaos. And it's about time that the South African government started paying attention to the actions of him and quit paying so much attention to people who've committed no crimes that they keep going after. What say you, South Africa? What say you?